Hello and welcome to one more episode of Give Me the Mic. So today is something different from what I usually cover. So I usually cover automation, AI, basics, machine learning, and all of that good stuff. Now it's still about AI, but it's about image AI. And honestly, it's super interesting. I don't know how I didn't dig deeper into this in the past. So I wanted a way to basically take off the headache of doing thumbnails, which is a very important thing, a very hard thing to do and nail. Clearly, I'm not good at it yet. I'm trying to improve. So I thought, okay, why don't I deploy some of the AI models out there to do some of that stuff for me? And it will save me time of every time when I finish the video, I take a picture and I try to go to Canva and do all of these things. So I went into that world, and it's a complex world, and there's a lot you can do with code and without code. Now, and this is basically the main aspect of my channel. It's doing things low code or no code. And I figured a way around some of the stuff, how to do it with low code or actually no code at all, and leveraging some of the top models like Stable Diffusion and the new Flux.1. There are much better videos than I would be able to do that takes you step by step into how to create these things on your own and how to start using them and training models and getting your own images into that model and creating pictures. And I'm more than happy to share with you all the links to the amazing creators and the videos I've watched to be able to do what I'm doing today. So put a comment, I'll put those video links for you. The whole reason I did this video is two things. Number one, just to see how engaged and interested my audience is in this type of content. If that's something you are interested in, leave me a comment, like the video. It will give me that indication, and I can dig deeper and deeper into this and give you more content around it if it's something you're interested in. For me, definitely it's something I'm gonna invest more time in it because I want to do something better with my thumbnails, and I think AI can help me a lot. The other reason is maybe, just by showing you this video, you will get inspired to look into that area, and then you might venture and look into it and do a much better job than I did doing that research. So I'm not going to go into the details of it. I will give you enough that probably someone with a really desire to do that, they will be able to replicate by searching online, finding some of these videos I found on YouTube and doing the work. I will give you the links to everything that I'd used to create what I've created today in terms of Gits, GitHub, and from GitHub, and then things on Hugging Face. And one more reason I did the video, and maybe you have all you need from other videos, but you faced issues that I faced. So I will cover these things that not covered anywhere else, that while doing all of these things, I figured out for myself, and I was able to eventually survive all of these kind of navigating all of these models and get it to work on my computer and online. So this is one more reason you might want to watch the video. Hopefully this will inspire you. Maybe this is something will be interesting for you to see. And without further ado, let's just jump right in. Okay, so hopefully, I'll walk through certain steps that will make sense to you, something that you can replicate on your own. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that some of this, doing some of these things involves, not every time, but in many times can be done for free, sometimes involves some money to be paid. But believe me, whatever money you put into doing this kind of stuff is nothing compared to doing it with services like Midjourney. And you might get even better results potentially. So I'll show you and I'll tell you where you might pay money and what are you paying for. Mostly it's computing power and computing units, and I'll show you the results, and then you decide for yourself if this is something you want to venture in or not. If you have a really super powerful computer, I think the Stable Diffusion models are okay for most people, but if you want to go higher on the Flux side of things, maybe that will be heavier on the processing, so you can potentially do it locally. These are open source models, so you can, in theory, get them on your computer and run them locally if that's your thing. But that is a little bit more complex, more technical aspect of doing things on image than I will cover today. Now, when you look at these things, especially if you want to do something specific for your needs, you're going to need three things. The first thing is you're going to need a software or an application on your computer to run the model. You're going to need the model itself, access to that model. And then you want to have what they call a LoRa. It's one of the forms of a trained model. So basically, it's a variant of that model that really fits the training that you did for that model. It's much smaller size file that you load in a certain way, and it works with the existing model to generate results that you are looking for. So three things again: you need an application to run it, the model, and the model variant. It could be a LoRa or something else that is basically capturing the weights out of the training of the model that you've done yourself. Today, I'm covering two models. I will show you how I have now my computer with Stable Diffusion on it, XL, and how to use it, my feedback on it in general, and where to get it from. And then the next phase, how to get access to Flux, and how also to train it and get results out of it. Obviously enough, Flux is the winner here, but let's go step by step and I'll show you and I'll share my feedback as we go along. So what you're seeing on the screen here, this is called Focus. This is an application that as of today only runs Stable Diffusion. And I will not go into the details. As I said, there's lots of content around this, and especially for Stable Diffusion, it's been there for years. So you're going to find a lot of content. So here you have the model, which is the base model of Stable Diffusion XL. And then you have something called the refiner. Basically, it's a different model that makes the images just better. And then here you have that LoRa, or that variant of the model that I created for myself that has my picture. Now, it's an amazing model. So I think it easily beats Midjourney, in my opinion, for general use cases. It didn't do well to replicate my face. So what you see on the screen is theoretically me, and it has nothing to do with me. And I did like 4 times training that model. I might be really bad in doing the settings and the promptings, but I tried my best. I mean, I searched online for the tips. I didn't figure it out. With Flux, as I will show at the end of the video, it was much better results, much easier. So the first thing you need to figure out when it comes to this, you need that Focus application. And the easiest way to get Focus that I figured out is to go to GitHub. I'll share the link of this Git. So there's a human being in the world who created something so good. And by the way, I didn't give it its benefit. If you look at the other tabs, there's so many things you can do to play with images. So it's not a simple tool. It's a complex tool that gives you lots of options and features. So it's a great work done by this person here, Yasville, I think. Okay. And the easiest way is that you fork the code. Create a fork for that on your, you have to create obviously a GitHub account. You fork the code, and then if you have VS Code, so I have it on my computer, you get VS Code. So you can see after I import the GitHub here, it's very easy to do, just one line of code, or you can do it straight from the interface of VS Code. You get it here and you hit run. You find people telling you steps on how to do it on the terminal on Mac. It's much easier if you have Windows computer. You just have a file, a bat file. You double click on that and you have your application running. For us people who are using Mac, it's a different story. I would recommend that you go to VS Code, get it, fork that on your account, link your account to your VS Code, and then just hit that play button here and it will run and will automatically open into your browser. So it's very easy. You can look it up, but that's the first thing you need to do. So get yourself focused. There are other tools. I went on Reddit and people on Reddit said Focus is better. So I went with Focus. So if you're on Windows, you're good to go. I think it's much easier to install. If you're on Mac, you need to do a bunch of stuff between VS Code and as I covered before, but it's doable. It's not that big of a deal. You do it once and it's always there in your computer. Now, before I move forward, in theory, when you download Focus, it will auto download on your computer the Stable Diffusion XL model and refiner. So 2 files basically, and those are big files. One I guess is 6 gigabytes and one is like around 5, so it's totally 11 gigabytes. It didn't happen for me, so I had to go to Hugging Face and search for the exact model name. And by the way, most of these Gits on GitHub are very detailed, very nicely done. You can read through it, so you can see here on the screen, and I'll put the link again in the description. These are the models that you need to have in a specific folder after installing Focus in models and checkpoints. So for me, it didn't automatically download on Mac. I don't know if others had the same issue. So I searched for these models on Hugging Face. They're open source models, so you'll find them for free on Hugging Face. I did download them, I added them to the folder, and now it's working. And this is how I got to generate the pictures I've showed you locally on my machine. So just one thing to keep in mind, if it happens to you, look for those files. If you don't find them, you'll have to go download them from Hugging Face and add them here. So this is the first thing we covered. So we figured out somewhere to run the Stable Diffusion model. Maybe in the future this will work for Flux and other models. Let's hope. Now, the second thing we need to do is we need to train the model. I'm not a technical person, so correct me if I'm wrong. Training is where you need the heavy lifting of your processing powers and your GPUs. So if you want to train a model, that is something where most people will not be able to do on their local machine. You can have the model, you can have the variant of the model that you trained, the file, and then run it. But the training process, I think it's too heavy for most computers. There's this Git on GitHub, and this is basically a code base that if you run it, it will take you step by step on training your Stable Diffusion XL model to your own images. Again, I would say wait till the end, wait until I show the Flux.1 type of training. If you are really picky on having your face on the images, I would rather do it through Flux.1, which is super accurate compared to my personal experience on Stable Diffusion. So basically, if you go down here, this is different from what we've seen in the GitHub of the focus. Here you have two links to something called Google Colab. And basically Google Colab, you can call it, it's like a space or an environment to run code, and where you can rent out or do the processing on the cloud. You can actually rent out specific type of GPUs, for example. Now, this is something that you can do for free, and I'll show you now. So if you click on this one, so I've tried this one, it's too simple, so it doesn't give you the details that you want. And by the way, all the details are written here. You can go and read how to do it. You don't need to watch the videos, but the videos just make it easier. So thanks to all the creators who covered this and helped me. But if you want to read it, if it's your thing to read line by line, sometimes it's better, you can do that. So once you click this link, it will take you to this page. So this is the Google Colab space, and you can see here I'm logged in. If you're not logged in, and then you have the space, and it looks nice. Actually, there's code behind all of this. You can look at code and you know what you're running step by step, and there's all these other tabs. Even here, there's a place for folders and data. For people like me personally, this is a no-code channel for a reason, low-code channel. You do not need to bother with this. Just trust that the people who created it, and there's feedback. You can read comments on GitHub, so you'll know the repository if it's good or to be trusted, or that's solid. This one is, I've seen multiple people use it. I've used it myself, so it ran smoothly. There are errors and bugging that could happen because this is, I think, an old one, maybe not updated. But basically, this is what Google Colab does for you. It's a space, it's computing, and that's it. You need to give it two API keys, one for Hugging Face. So you'll have to go to Hugging Face, sign up if you're not, and get an API key, which I can show you where you get it. So when you go to Hugging Face, you go to your account, and then you click on it, and then you hit settings, and then you go to access tokens. And you'll have all your access tokens here. You can create a new one. Usually to train, you have to make it a right access token. And the same goes, let's go back, ngrok auth token. So you need to go there. Once you click that link, if you are logged in, you will have that auth token there. You just can copy it and paste it here. And each of these tools will play two different parts. So Hugging Face is where code here on Google Colab will place your model. So once it's done, your model that is trained based on the base model, it will be created and written on your Hugging Space. And again, Hugging Space is the same location where the base model is existing that is used for the training. So that is the use of your Hugging Face API key. Now, the other service, which is again is free, is basically an API call that enables a connection between Hugging Face and the Google Colab. So that connections happen through this. This is what I figured out from looking a little bit at the code and seeing how it operates. And also it gets and captures the ngrok. It captures some inputs from you necessary to train the model. So this is a code that you don't want to change, Once you run this program here, so you click the run button, and I'll show you something else you need to do. You wait until the installation of the libraries happen here. You can see these pip install kind of things. You'll get an ngrok link. You click at that link, a page will open, a simple page where you need to put some kind of inputs. You have to watch some video about it or read the details of the Git before you do that. But you'll have to fill some inputs and then run the training and add your photos. You run the training, and at the end you'll get one single file here that you simply download, and that is your LoRa that you place in Focus's LoRa folder. And again, just for you to be aware, one thing here, if you use this T4 processor, you can do the training for free. The only problem about it is that if you don't leave the page live, basically if you don't stay on it and keep scrolling or doing some action, you will drop off from time to time. So you have to do the whole process all over again. For me, I opted in and I bought some computing units. They're very cheap. So if you pay $10, you'll get 100 computing units. Now, the rate of consumptions of these units depend on the model. So for this model, for the Stable Diffusion XL, I think it's like around 4 per hour, 4 units per hour. So basically, training will not take more than 1 hour, maximum 2 hours. So you will, for each model you train, you will consume around 8 out of the 100, so 8% out of the 100 units, which is from the, it's like 80 cents from the $10. So it's good to have. You can create great models with it, and you can use it for other things other than image. So for me, it's worthwhile the money. If you're willing to do it, you can navigate to the options and just buy some of it, and you can buy credit. That's great about Google Colab. You don't need to subscribe, so you can buy credit and use it. So here, if I hit view resources, you can see I did a lot. So I have 123. So I bought first phase, and now I have a second phase. And as you can see, it's approximately 1.75 per hour units of unit rate. Now I'm still selecting the T4. Now, when I train my model, I change the runtime type and I go to the L4. L4 is a much powerful GPU, much more powerful GPU compared to the T4, and even better, the A100, but Google Colab never gave me access to that. It always gives me not available. So I keep working with the L4, which is good enough for these models. So you run the model, you get a LoRa file here, you download and you place in Focus's folders. Again, the instructions can be found easily. And that's it. You have a model that you can run on your face. It wasn't that good for me. Now, let us go to something much better. And this is the new Flux model that's breaking the internet, basically, by Black Forest Labs. Now, again, I'm new to this. I searched online, lots of code related kind of approaches to Flux, but then some people recommended working with Replicate. Replicate is something very similar to Hugging Face. And again, both Hugging Face and Replicate rent out computing power if needed. I think Hugging Face has a free tier, like if you want to use like a very basic kind of processor or GPU, you can do it for free. Of course, you can lose that connection and things will go wrong easily, but it's free if you want to keep trying, or you can buy some credit there or subscribe. And here the same thing works. So you can either subscribe or buy credit and Replicate. So I did get myself some credit for Replicate, something around $10 again, like what I spend on Google Colab. These things will last. I mean, these things you'll do lots with $10 of computing. So I found in Replicate this kind of library created by this person who I believe works in Replicate. And if you read through it, basically he will explain the steps that you go step by step to train the model on your images, from putting the images in a folder, creating a zip folder out of it because you'll need to use it later, and other detailed steps. I'll just cover the high level ones. It's very straightforward. It is less complex and with nearly no issues compared to what I showed you on Stable Diffusion. And this is why people are paying a little bit premium for Replicate to do these things, because it's much easier and you're getting access to the Flux.1 dev, not even the smaller version. So what you do is you click at the LoRa trainer here, and it will take you to this site, or this, again, you can call it, I think, a repository of some sort. And what you need to do is you need to give it some inputs. Again, on the previous page, he has the instructions and details. You have to add your images. You can see here it's explaining it should be zip files and other aspects. You need a trigger word. Please go search on YouTube for people who did a great job in doing this. I'm just, again, my intention is just to give you ideas how easy and how good to use these things, or even just play around with them, get to know them. If you're interested in AI, I think it's good to be also part of this image AI model world. It's very interesting and really fun. So you have to put certain things. One important thing is you have to create a Hugging Face repo ID. Now, again, all the models are hosted on Hugging Face. So what you do here is you go to your Hugging Face, and you can see this is my model. This is the model that I've created, and it's a variant of the model. So let's be clear, it's a LoRa, similar to the LoRa we created for the Stable Diffusion, but it's just a variant of the Flux model to use as a layer on top of the base Flux model to generate images. And I'll show you how that works. But what you need to do, when you sign up to Hugging Face, you need to come here, click on your profile, create a new model. It's a very easy process. You just give it a name. This is a really important name. And that's it. You hit create. It will be empty. Nothing will be here. You copy the name of it. And when you go back to the training page, which again, links will be available, you just paste it here. And again, you will need to get your Hugging Face token. Remember, the Hugging Face token, it has to be a write token. As I showed you before, it has to be a write token because it will go and update that model that you created with the LoRa files. So once you run this, it will go to your Hugging Face account. It will put all the files that need to be there for you to use it later on. Now you run it and everything's good. Everything's populated. And then you go to the different repository that the same guy created, which you can run the development based on your LoRa. So let's do this together. This is the part where at least I'll give you some fun out of this. So I copy my LoRa file or LoRa repository on Hugging Face. This is where my model variant or LoRa is hosted. And this is what I need to create an image. So let me go down to this. Yeah, you see he has his own LoRa file. I will just replace it with mine. And there are things here you can play with, from format to quality of output. I'm going to keep everything standard, to the LoRa scale, which is basically how much influence of your LoRa you want to be on the output of making that call to the model to create an image. I'll make it 100%, which is 1 aspect ratio, and then the prompt. And then you hit run and you get the image here. If you're not aware, like if you think prompting text is complex, it's nothing, by the way. Prompting images is something else. So what I've done to do this better, I've went to ChatGPT, and this is ChatGPT, and I've searched for a GPT. I know GPTs, people think they're dead, but people are creating them. I found a really good one, honestly, after testing it, a Flux prompt generator. So this creates prompts for Flux, and those are really complex prompts. So you can give it a minimal description of what you want, and it will create something for you. And the good thing about ChatGPT is you can put a picture that you want to replicate in your own way, and you can see this kind of GPT create that prompt for you based on that image. For me, I'm just going to create a test for you to see the quality and the accuracy of Flux.1 and why people are talking about it. So the prompt I created to get the image prompt is create an image of me, and me here, because I've done it before, I defined my trigger word. So when you train the model, you created a trigger word, which is Samer H. It will already knows it, and it will give it back. Talking to the camera in a studio that depicts being a YouTube. Okay, I did it wrong here. With a big sign in the background clearly saying subscribe, fully visible, and attracts attention. So something just to experiment with. So let's see what we get. Okay, so I have the response from ChatGPT, so I'll just copy it here. We'll go back to the page, to the prompt side. Let me double click. Command V, you can see it's a big one. Let's see how that goes. It takes time to run. It's a big model. This is 12 billion parameters compared to Stable Diffusion of 2 billion. So you can see it's 6 times more powerful. Again, at the end of this, for me, my use case is I might start asking it to create a basic, really good looking thumbnail for my YouTube videos, and maybe I can just add some text to it. This is very good with text, by the way, compared to any other model. Let's see how good. You'll see it live. But that's my use case. You'll have to look into your use case and see how to play with it. And it can be purely for fun. You can do it for fun and just get crazy images. So it's working here. You can see the progress of it happening. Again, it's using my LoRa. It's loading those files there, or the model there, on top of the base model, and it's creating something. And it really resembles me. Like, it's crazy good. If you see the face, and now you see me, so you could tell that it's a really good resemblance based on the training. And you can see subscribe really visible in the background, and it captured some of the if you look at my full, let's put this, if you see my background, I think also it's captured from the training, because I got some pictures from me just from the camera I used to do the videos. I took images, so it captured some of the background I have, and it used I didn't ask it to use the background, but that is definitely an interesting result, that it used exactly the same background. Again, I put to use the LoRa as a weight of 100%. So you see my background, it's now into my model clearly, and into my training. So let's do one more just for fun. So this is one I created earlier. I'm just wanted to test it again in front of you. So basically this is me and Iron Man walking away from an explosion behind us, and Iron Man is piggyback riding me, and I'm smiling. So let's see how that looks. It's every kid's dream, or anyone who's a fan of Marvel videos, to really have that moment with Iron Man. Let me see how it looks if it was a reality. Now you have to play with settings. Whenever you introduce multiple faces, it tends to plaster your face on other faces as well. So that's a little bit of an issue. This is why this worked with Iron Man, because Iron Man has a mask. And even then, sometimes it will remove the mask and put a face on Iron Man. Hopefully this one will work. But you can have lots of fun with this. And $10, see, it's good. I think this one is actually really nice. I might save it. So that's me. Iron Man looks a little bit smaller than he should. You can see his arms are showing. But you can, by the way, using the same prompt, run again, see, you'll get a different result. You can actually play with them, for example, the steps of inference and the guidance scale. All of these concepts, you can read about them. No rocket science. Well, it's close to rocket science, but at least once you get the concept, you'll understand to what you need to understand. Let's run it again after changing the rate of inference and the scale. So we'll see what we get. But all in all, I think if you're not interested in this, at least try to venture, at least know how to navigate it. I think image will be one of the most important aspects of AI going forward. It's not only large language models that will stay on top. So image models will start getting more traction. That's definitely much better. Definitely, I'm going to save this one. So you can see me with Iron Man, my friend, after battle, and I'm laughing because of Stark's humor. Anyways, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you want me to really consider doing more videos around image, please tell me. I'll be more than happy to do the research and give you more specific things. There's a lot online. Other creators who are focusing on this domain are doing an amazing job. So shout out to all of them. And with this, thank you and goodbye.